There is a peculiar kind of discomfort that doesn't announce itself loudly. It doesn't arrive as panic or visible sadness. It shows up as a quiet misalignment, a low-frequency hum beneath everyday life. You may have felt it long before you had words for it. Sitting in classrooms, family gatherings, public spaces filled with noise and movement, you sensed something was off, not externally, but internally. People were speaking, laughing, exchanging stories, yet none of it seemed to land where it was supposed to. You understood the language, the social cues, the rhythm of conversation, but the substance felt strangely hollow, as if everyone else was responding to a script you were never given. From an early age, you noticed things others overlooked. Not because you were trying to be special or different, but because your attention naturally gravitated toward what was unspoken. You watched adults more than children. You paid attention to exhaustion behind smiles, tension beneath politeness, contradictions embedded in authority. While others were absorbed in games and distractions, you found yourself wondering why people behaved the way they did, why systems failed so predictably, why happiness seemed so fragile and temporary. Life felt less like a playground and more like a puzzle that no one around you seemed interested in solving. This difference followed you quietly into adulthood. At social events, you learned how to perform. You smiled at the right moments. You nodded at familiar topics. You mastered the art of appearing present while feeling fundamentally elsewhere. Conversations about trends, gossip, superficial ambition, or social competition rarely stirred anything inside you. Not because you felt superior, but because something in you was always scanning for meaning beneath the surface. And when none appeared, a subtle fatigue set in, the kind that doesn't go away with rest. People may have described you as thoughtful, mature, introspective, or even wise for your age. The phrase "old soul" might have been offered as a compliment, a way to romanticize your difference. But what that phrase often conceals is the weight that comes with it. Being an old soul is not simply about wisdom or calm presence. It is about carrying awareness before you are ready for it. It is about perceiving complexity in a world that rewards simplicity. It is about seeing consequences before actions have fully unfolded. You move through life with the sensation of having arrived somewhere too early, as if you reached a conclusion long before the rest of the room finished the introduction. This creates a strange kind of internal friction. You are forced to slow yourself down, to translate your thoughts, to dilute your observations so they are digestible to others. Over time, this constant self-regulation becomes exhausting. Not dramatic exhaustion, but a deep, bone-level weariness that seeps into your motivation, your enthusiasm, your ability to feel fully alive. And yet, you keep going. You keep observing. You keep noticing patterns repeating themselves in relationships, institutions, and cultures. You see people chase things that will not satisfy them, defend beliefs that quietly harm them, and ignore warnings that feel painfully obvious to you. When you speak up, you are often misunderstood. When you stay silent, you feel complicit. Either way, the sense of isolation grows. This video is not about labeling yourself or feeding a sense of separation. It is about understanding why this experience exists at all. Why some minds seem tuned to a different frequency. Why awareness, when it arrives too early or too intensely, can feel less like a gift and more like a burden. And why the quiet exhaustion you carry is not a personal failure, but a psychological consequence of seeing more than you can unsee. At some point, a quiet question begins to form beneath your daily routines. It doesn't arrive as a sudden revelation, but as a slow, unsettling realization. You start to wonder whether the persistent sense of distance you feel from the world is a personal flaw or something structural. Whether you are missing a crucial piece that everyone else seems to have, or whether you are seeing something others are unconsciously avoiding. This question lingers in the background of your life, shaping your reactions long before you consciously acknowledge it. You may notice that your dissatisfaction is not rooted in failure or lack of opportunity. On the surface, things might appear stable, even successful. You function. You adapt. You fulfill expectations. And yet, there is a subtle emptiness that cannot be explained by circumstance alone. Achievements feel muted. Milestones fail to deliver the sense of arrival they promise. You move forward, but without the internal confirmation that you are moving towards something meaningful. This is where confusion deepens. Because from the outside, there is no obvious reason for your unrest. You are told to be grateful, to relax, to stop overthinking. But overthinking is not the problem. The problem is that you are thinking accurately. You are detecting inconsistencies between what people say they value and how they actually live. You see the emotional shortcuts, the self-deceptions, the collective agreements to ignore uncomfortable truths. And once you see these patterns, you cannot unsee them. Curiosity emerges here not as entertainment, but as survival. You begin searching for language, frameworks, and explanations that can make sense of your experience. Psychology, philosophy, spirituality, not as hobbies, but as tools. You are not trying to feel special. You are trying to feel sane. You want to know why your inner world feels disproportionately heavy compared to the apparent simplicity of the world around you. The deeper you look, the more you realize this is not about personality quirks or introversion. It is about awareness developing faster than the structures designed to support it. It is about a nervous system that processes meaning before it processes comfort. And this realization creates a new tension. If this awareness is not accidental, then neither is the isolation that comes with the dot, so the question shifts. It is no longer, what is wrong with me? It becomes, what happens to a person who sees too early, too deeply, and too clearly in a world optimized for distraction? The answer to that question changes everything, but it is not a comforting answer. It is an honest one. Psychologically, the experience of the old soul is rooted in a synchronous development. Your emotional and cognitive processing matured ahead of the social environments meant to shape it. While others learned through repetition and trial, you learned through observation and pattern recognition. You absorbed lessons indirectly, intuitively, often without conscious effort. This gave you insight, but it also deprived you of the illusion of simplicity that makes life feel lighter for most people. In Jungian terms, the Senex archetype becomes active far earlier than it should. You develop foresight before spontaneity has fully expressed itself. Responsibility before carefreeness. Reflection before indulgence. This imbalance does not make you superior, it makes you tired. Because the psyche is carrying weight without having developed the structures to rest beneath it. This is where existential depression begins to take shape. Not as despair, but as lucidity. You are not depressed because life lacks meaning. You are depressed because you see too many conflicting meanings operating at once. You notice how ambition masks insecurity, how morality bends under convenience, how relationships repeat unresolved childhood dynamics. You are not imagining these things. You are recognizing them. Others are buffered by optimism bias, the cognitive tendency to believe things will resolve themselves without intervention. You do not have this buffer. Your mind runs simulations automatically. You calculate outcomes. You notice probabilities. This makes you useful in crisis, but uncomfortable in normal life. You are always slightly ahead of the emotional curve, which means you arrive at disappointment long before others recognize it is coming. This anticipatory awareness creates a specific kind of loneliness. Not the loneliness of being alone, but the loneliness of being unseen. You are surrounded by people, yet rarely met where you actually live mentally. Conversations feel delayed. Reactions feel predictable. You wait for others to catch up to realizations you reached months or years earlier. And during that waiting, connection erodes. The tragedy is that none of this is dramatic enough to be validated. There is no clear event to point to, no visible wound, just a slow accumulation of unshared understanding. And so you carry it quietly, unsure whether to speak, knowing that speaking often leads to dismissal, and silence leads to isolation. If you are an old soul, solitude will likely remain part of your path. Not because you are broken, but because depth requires space. The mistake is believing solitude means disconnection. In reality, it is where clarity forms. It is where your insights consolidate. It is where your creative and intellectual systems are built. You are not meant to belong everywhere. You are meant to belong precisely. To find the few minds capable of meeting you without translation. They exist. They are rare. And they often arrive later, after you stop searching desperately and start standing firmly in who you are. Until then, your task is not to shrink yourself for comfort or expand yourself for validation. It is to remain intact, to honor your perception without letting it harden into bitterness, to use your awareness as a compass, not a weapon against yourself. The world does not need more distraction. It does not need more noise. It needs people who can see clearly without collapsing under what they see. People who understand cycles, patterns, and consequences. People who can remain calm when others panic and grounded when illusions fall apart. That is your role. Quiet, often unseen, rarely celebrated, but essential. And if this resonated, if you recognized yourself somewhere in these words, know this: you are not alone in your difference. You are simply early. And that, while difficult, is not without meaning.